So we'll go through some frequently asked questions. We get a lot for our class. The first being, why should they take the class from Gun Safe Academy?
Well, and there's a lot of reasons. Ours is the best class in the state of Nebraska. And I say that without any reservation or any fear of contradiction at all, because when concealed carry passed in Nebraska, the legislature of Nebraska did a very uncharacteristically intelligent thing in that they did not legislate the training requirement. Rather, they delegated that training requirement to the Nebraska State Patrol. The state trooper that was responsible for that was Craig Lovelace. He's a sergeant with Nebraska State Patrol, and he is the Special Operations Coordinator for the Nebraska State Patrol. When the obligation for the training hit his desk, he did an internet search, looked for NRA certified instructors in the area. I was one of the most active, or am the most active NRA instructor in the state of Nebraska, so he called me. We had a long conversation. I wrote a curriculum to satisfy the state law. I presented the curriculum to him. They were thrilled with it. The State Patrol was thrilled with it. They wanted to adopt it as written. They then had public hearings about the proposed training requirement. Every other instructor in the state of Nebraska complained that the training was too long. The National Rifle Association actually sent lobbyists down to lobby at these public hearings against the training requirement because, again, if we had passed it as I wrote it initially, it was 16 hours of training, it would have been the longest training requirement in the state, or in the country. The NRA lobbied that was excessive and violated the Second Amendment because it would be the longest one in the country. My response to that was that if you cannot speak intelligently about this topic for 16 hours, you don't know enough to teach the class.
They kept saying that for 16 hours you'd be talking about war stories and wouldn't do anything, the extra curriculum there wouldn't have anything to do with firearms. But again, we designed the class for 16 hours. And again, obviously we're both members of the NRA, life members of the NRA. NRA does a lot of good. This is one of the few instances where they kind of annoyed me a little bit. But I mean, we shortened the class down to 8 hours because people coming into it, they don't want to sit there for 16 hours. The biggest complaint we get of students leaving is they wish we had more time to cover topics. In the morning we talk a lot about pistol safety, we talk about marksmanship, and for some people who have been shooting for a long time, they kind of roll their eyes at that because that's old news to them. But everyone, even people that have been shooting for 40 years, come out of the morning section at lunch and tell me they learned something new. It boils down to if you come to the class thinking you know everything and thinking that we can't teach you anything, then you're right, we can't teach you anything. So we'll talk about safety and marksmanship in the morning. We'll talk about how to make your home safer, less likely to get broken into. We talk about actual shootings that happened here in Douglas County. We don't have to go far for examples for any of this. And we spend a couple hours on law. We don't just tell you about Title 272, the rules and regs that implement the law. We talk about LB 454, the law as it was written. We talk about LB 817, another change to the laws. You know, we've had several major changes in the law, and we've only had it for about 5.5 years. So our original curriculum was something like 300 pages, 5 videos, 2 books, a bunch of pamphlets, and we wanted to do shooting too. Now we left all that material there. We still give it to the students, but we only had time to hit the highlights.
Right, and we talk. You cannot stop crime, but you can move crime. You can make your home and yourself a harder target, so that the criminal will decide to prey on somebody who's not as prepared, not such a hard target, and so you can't stop crime, but you can move crime. It's very important to understand that and to make yourself and your home a harder target so that you will not be victimized. And we also talk about de-escalation, what to do in the event of a confrontation to try to de-escalate that confrontation so that deadly force is not necessary. And we teach our students when Nebraska law allows deadly force to be used. And that's very simple, not ambiguous, not gray, it's very clear. You can use deadly force in Nebraska to prevent serious injury or death to any person. So if you believe your life is threatened, if you believe that you're going to be seriously injured, you can use deadly force to defend yourself. You can use the same amount of force to defend a third party from that force. If you feared that force was directed toward you, toward another person, you can use the same amount of force to defend them.
So if you see somebody who's being slapped by somebody else, you can't shoot the person doing the slapping because someone was slapping you. That's not serious injury. You wouldn't be justified in shooting them. Now if they got a 2x4, they're hitting the other person that had a 2x4. Obviously that's serious injury, and you might be justified in using deadly force to shoot the person swinging the 2x4. But win, lose, or draw is going to cost you a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars, possibly years in prison. We want to encourage people to help people, but you have to understand who the players are before you jump in the game, because you don't know what could happen. Maybe this guy was getting mugged and finally started winning the fight, and then you come around the corner and shoot him. So it's important you understand the players. And we spend a lot of time talking about that, and we give a lot of real-world examples, again, from Douglas County, and we use some hypotheticals too. It's just like a fire drill, you have to plan for it ahead of time, otherwise you're going to panic in the moment. That's just a little taste of the 8 hours of lecture we do. We get a ridiculous amount of phone calls, people asking us when the next class is. I want to put this video on the website, on the frequently asked questions page. If you're on the website, at the top right of the page, there's a class schedule page. Just click on that. Okay, that'll tell you when our next class is. It'll tell you the number of seats available. I try to update that about once a week. You know, sometimes we have a lot of enrollments come in every day, and then I'll update it more frequently. But typically, the number of seats on the website is pretty accurate for how many seats we have open. And
the classes do fill up very quickly. We only do one class a month because we both work full-time. We don't make a lot of money doing this. We do it as a community service. And I'm not going to give more than one weekend a month to community service. I can't afford it. So one class a month, and the State Patrol limits the class size to 25 students. So by virtue of that, we can only train 25 people a month. Training 25 people a month, we have trained 1,300 people in Omaha, Douglas County in the last 5 years since the law took effect. So we're very busy, and our classes are full all the time. Currently, our next two classes, we're filming this January 2013. Our January class filled up in December. Our February class is full now. So we're booked 2 full months ahead. So if you wanted to get into the class today, you wouldn't be able to get in until March. And people sometimes get upset by that, but if you want to get in the class, you can. You just need to enroll at least 2-3 weeks out.
There's a lot of people that limit their class size to 10 students, in which case we've had people come take our class that have been trying to get in someplace else for over a year. Some of these people, they post a class, and even before it's posted, the class is already filled because they have a waiting list there. So we're one of the easiest ones to get into a class here. And going back to the curriculum there a little bit, the State Patrol was originally going to adopt our curriculum and basically print a book like they do for the DMV, and that would be the class material, and then they certify every instructor to teach that material. They have since changed it because of the complaints about our training being too extensive, that each instructor will now write their own curriculum and submit it. Now, I told you before how much we submitted for our first time around, and they actually had that at the troop headquarters of the State Patrol as an example to other instructors. And that's why you can go to other people's websites and look at their class enrollment form, and it's our form.
Yeah, every other instructor in this, I was the first one certified by the state, and every other instructor in the state of Nebraska has borrowed some of our material for their website and their curriculum. And that's okay. I don't mind them doing that because I want them to teach good courses. It'd be nice if they cited us and gave us, credit for that. They don't.
So there's some people that do the entire class and shooting in 4 hours. And I don't understand how you do that unless you just bullet point the test, go through the test, and have them take the test and do the shooting portion. And the Nebraska law says you have to include some applicable laws into the curriculum. And we talk about penalties for murder, we talk about penalties for manslaughter, for assaults, things like this, in order to impress on the students what they could be facing if they use force inappropriately. We don't just tell you how to win the gunfight by marksmanship. We tell you how to keep your house and how to stay out of prison and how to keep your job if you have to use deadly force.
So, again, what Patrick just alluded to is 3 levels of law: criminal law, civil law, and administrative law. And we are the only instructors in the state of Nebraska that cover the law in that kind of detail. I am a former police officer, a former federal officer. I'm a Desert Storm veteran, combat veteran, United States Army. I was a drill sergeant for a brief period of time during my military career. I am an expert in small arms and an expert in Nebraska law. Patrick is also an expert in small arms. So, and we're also both nurses. So we are the best equipped for an emergency in the event of a shooting accident. We've never had a shooting accident, never. Millions of rounds expended under my command, never an accident, never one. But if an accident occurs, we are better equipped to deal with that accident than anybody else.
My dad's been teaching firearms courses for something like 25 years now. I've been helping him, and I've been a certified instructor on my own right for about 7 years now, but I've been helping him with classes since I was probably about 12 years old. So between the two of us, we've got about 40 years of experience as instructors, and we've never had a single accident. And the biggest, we do occasionally fail students, but what we fail them for is not because they can't shoot well enough or because they failed the written test. We fail them for safety violations, because if we can't trust you to be safe with a firearm when we're right next to you, we can't tell the state patrol you're going to be safe when there's nobody watching you.
And the instructor bears a lot of responsibility, because if I tell the state patrol that you're safe and you're competent, and you're not safe and competent, that reflects on me. So I take that responsibility very seriously. And I don't like to fail people, but I have failed about 5 people over the course of the time that we've had concealed carry in Nebraska. And whenever that happens, I write a letter to the State Patrol explaining why. I'm not required to do that, but I do.
So 5 people out of 1,300, we're looking at a little over 1/3% of the people who fail the class for safety violations. So it's a very small percentage. If you want to take the concealed carry class, again, go to our class schedule page. There's an enrollment form on the right side there. You're going to print that off, fill it out, and mail it to the office address with a check. And the office address, again, is on the website. It'll be either right above to the right here. If you're watching this on YouTube, a link to it will be right below. We get asked if they need to actually own a firearm before they come take the class. And we tell them yes. Owning your own gun is a requirement for the course. If you're shooting a semi-automatic pistol, it needs to have at least 2 magazines that hold at least 6 rounds each. Now again, at least 6 rounds. Don't call me because your gun holds 15-round magazines and ask me where to buy a 6-round magazine. You're just going to put 6 rounds in that magazine for the course. If you're shooting a revolver, we want you to have a double-action revolver that holds at least 5 or 6 rounds. Okay, and again, 5 or 6 for a revolver. And we can't allow single-action revolvers because it just slows down everybody on the line because it takes you longer to load and unload.
So, again, any firearm that's safe and legal, if it's a semi-automatic, it must have 2 6-round magazines. If it's a revolver, you can have speed loaders if you want, but the speed loaders are not required. It has to be double action and either 5 rounds or 6 rounds.
For other equipment, we're also going to require 100 rounds. You're going to shoot about 50 rounds to practice and about 30 to qualify, so at least 100 rounds of ammunition is what you need to have with you. You need to have a strong side hip holster, and you need to have a belt to attach the holster to your person. Because a lot of people will bring the holster and no belt.
Now this happens oftentimes with women. They'll show up with a holster and a gun and no belt, and
or no belt loops.
it's really if it wasn't so serious, it'd be funny, but you need to have the equipment. And again, on the front page of the website, under required equipment, it's listed there very clearly that you need a strong side hip holster. No cross draw, no shoulder holster. Because if you're drawing from a shoulder holster or a cross draw, when you bring the gun out, you're going to sweep the guy next to you. We don't allow that. It's got to be strong side hip, so you drag it out, straight out to the target. Strong side hip only.
We do occasionally rent pistols to students who haven't purchased a gun yet. We charge $20 for the firearm rental plus the cost of the ammunition, or a lot of times we'll make you buy the ammunition and bring it with you. We don't like to do that. We have done that on occasion. If you need to rent a gun from us, you have to let us know when you enroll, because we can't have you coming up to the day of class saying you need a gun for the next day. We need some notice on that.
Because we only have so many guns, and we can accommodate a couple of people, but more than that, we just don't have the equipment.
Yeah. Another question I get a lot is if my spouse and I only own 1 pistol, can we both use the same firearm for the class? We can accommodate that sometimes. What we'll do then is we'll split up your range times. We'll have one issue at 9:30 and one shoot at 11. That way, one's using the gun for one range time and one's using the gun for the other. Again, the strong hip holster, the belt, and 100 rounds of ammunition per person still apply. And again, let us know why you're signing up for your range time on the day of class so that we know to split you up like that, or it's going to be a headache the next day. People ask if our range is outside or inside. Our range is a private range. It is only for us and our students and only on range days. We are not an open range. We are not a public range. Only on class days, only for our students. and our range is outside, and we prefer it to be outside. I like shooting outside more than inside because you don't have as much noise. Indoor ranges are hot in the summertime and they're cold in the wintertime, and because you have to circulate the air with the outside in order to keep the EPA regulations happy. So it is outside, and we've only canceled one range the entire time we've been doing the class. It's because we had a 7-foot snowdrift blocking the road. So we'll shoot in the rain, we'll shoot in the snow, but it is an outdoor range. So if you don't want to be outside when it's cold, call me in June, not in January. People ask us if our class is good for Florida and Utah permits. And our class is recognized by Florida, and they will take our NRA certificate as training for their non-resident permit.
So again, our curriculum is based on the personal protection in the home course from the NRA. And we complete that entire course, the personal protection in the home course. So you're going to actually get one certificate from the National Rifle Association and one certificate from the Nebraska State Patrol. That State Patrol certificate will be used for your Nebraska Concealed Carry permit. If you want to get non-resident permits from other states, if they recognize NRA training, then you can use your NRA training certificate to get permits from other states. Utah, like Nebraska, has a state-specific permit certificate. So you cannot get the Utah permit with our training. That's not a big deal. When all the concealed carry got started, Utah was recognized in many states, Nebraska not. That's not true anymore. Currently, the Nebraska permit is recognized in some,
29 states.
29 states recognize the Nebraska permit. So you don't need the Utah permit.
If you want to get the Florida non-resident permit, you actually pick up about 7 states with that. Now the Utah permit is good in those same 36 states as Nebraska and Florida together would be, plus I believe it's Minnesota. Minnesota is the 37th state they add on to that. So if you want a list of what states your permit's good in, you can go to our course handouts page, and I made a very nice little spreadsheet there. It fits on one page. And actually I keep a copy of it printed up in my wallet of all the states Nebraska's permit good in. And then again, it shows you Florida and it shows you Utah. A lot of people think that Utah is the best one to have, and I'm disappointed when we say we don't teach Utah. But again, you can get every permit, your permit can be good in every one of those states except Minnesota, and I never go to Minnesota anymore for ship fishing or anything. So picking up one state's not worth the extra cost to me. They ask if we offer any advanced classes.
We do, and again, our curriculum is NRA curriculum, nationally recognized. The personal protection in the home course is what we use for the concealed carry training. Then there's a NRA personal protection outside the home, and there's 2 levels of that, level 1 and level 2. So you can build on your personal protection in the home course by taking the personal protection outside the home course, and we do offer that both level 1 and level 2. And this is advanced, much more demanding, much more rigorous. You shoot, for the basic course, you just shoot standing. If time allows, we'll shoot kneeling as well, but in the advanced course, you're shooting prone, on your back, on your stomach. You shoot kneeling, you shoot from barricades, you move and reload and shoot on the move, shoot from a sitting position, shoot from a table, shoot from a vehicle. It's much more dynamic, not for everyone, but the advanced training is available.
We only do about 1 or 2 of those classes a year because the demand for it hasn't really been there lately. The class isn't required for a permit, so it seems like we have a lot of people are interested in it, but not very many people take it. We limit the class size of that to about 10 students. We do it in one day. We do it all at the range, and we have at least 2, usually 4 instructors on the line for every 1 person shooting. For our concealed carry classes, we'll have 7 or 8 or 9 people on the line at a time, all shooting together. For the advanced course, there's 1 shooter and multiple instructors making sure that everything is safe. Just because we require you to clear your own malfunctions, you're moving around more, there's more risk for tripping and falling, and we want to be able to secure the handgun as quickly as possible and keep it safe. So that's kind of in a nutshell, all the questions we get for frequently asked questions from people on the website and on the phone calls. So if you have any questions, feel free to email us at gun-safe@juno.com or just take a look around the website.
Most questions you have will be answered in the website content, but if you can't find it or you have a question that's not covered on the website, please give us a call. And that phone number is 402-614-4504.
Again, that number is the local Omaha number, and it's 402-614-4504. And again, every information we have on the frequently asked question page and in this video is answered somewhere else on the website, and we just kind of try to consolidate those to reduce the number of questions we get over the phone. But if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email, and look forward to having you in class.
One last thing I'd like to add. Recently, about 8 months ago, Cabela's, which is a very fine outfitter and retail store for guns and camping and all those wonderful things, Cabela's has allowed us to start teaching our classes out at Cabela's. So we now do our classroom phase at Cabela's in Vista, Nebraska, and I want to give a shout out to Cabela's. They've been very, very good to us. We've really enjoyed working with them, and Cabela's has done more to promote the Second Amendment here in Omaha than just about anybody else, and I really appreciate that. So support the people that support the Second Amendment, shop at Cabela's.
And we encourage all of our students too, at the end of the class day, to go out and, we don't really care who you talk to, but thank a Cabela's employee on your way out the door, because they help us out, they help support Second Amendment, and you just can't say enough good things about them.
Thank you.